real. Join us on KXVS, the voice of Stockton. Catch us at KXVS Radio or at thevoiceofstockton.org.
This is Barbara Berrigan-Perea with Delta Flows, a radio show by the Voice of Stockton and Restore the Delta. This is the weekly radio show where we discuss everything Delta related: the environment, water management, water quality, farming, history and culture, public events, recreation, Delta food, and the arts. Tune in to Delta Flows on KXVS, the Voice of Stockton, streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at KXVS Radio.
This is Darius Oliver, and you're listening to 92.1 KXVS, the Voice of Stockton.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of KXVS, the Voice of Stockton, or its parents, affiliates, management, and staff.
Hi everyone, this is Dr. Julie Damron, local veterinarian for over 20 years. I am so excited about my new radio show, Tales and Tips, on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, Voice of Stockton, and KXVS Radio. I will discuss relevant issues affecting animals and pet owners today, how to avoid common problems, and how to extend the quality of life for your cherished companions. As a community advocate, I will also discuss important social issues that affect our city. I plan to showcase organizations and heroes who are doing amazing things to help others. Remember to tune in every Tuesday morning at 10, starting soon.
KXVS LP Stockton.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of KXVS, the Voice of Stockton, or its parents, affiliates, management, and staff.
Good morning, Stocktonians, and welcome to another exciting episode of Tales and Tips. I have the privilege today of having several people who were involved in forming Lodi House in Lodi that is helping women and children in need. And we will talk with all three of them shortly and hear how this amazing organization was founded and what they're doing to help our community. But first, I have a couple of PSAs to remind you about. This Saturday, we have our wonderful bowling event, the Fire Bowl, which is an event put on by the Stockton Host Lions to help our local firefighters relocate their memorial that was downtown and is going to be at Fire Station 6 in Victory Park. And that bowling event is taking place at 10 a.m. at Pacific Bowl. Once again, that's this Saturday, the 7th. And tickets are still available. You can go to Eventbrite and just look up Fire Bowl. It's $50 a person. And we want teams of 5 come out and support your local firefighters. We also have Earth Day coming up, and that's Sunday, April 22nd. And that is going to be at Victory Park, and it's going to kick off with a march to encourage and promote science in our community starting at 10 a.m. So those are two important events if you guys can make it to support our community. And without any further ado, let's talk about Lodi House. I have with me Annette Murdaca, who's a founder, Shereen Hayes, who is the assistant director and case manager, and Shelby Young, who's the executive director. Let's start with Shelby. Talk to us about what Lodi House is, where is it located, and what its mission is.
Lodi House is in Lodi. It's actually on the east side of Lodi. It's a home, a 6-bedroom home. 5 of the rooms are dedicated for moms to be with their children. Our mission is to provide compassionate support and counseling and shelter to homeless women and children to empower them to live courageous, healthy, independent lives.
Awesome. Amazing. Yeah. Excellent. All right, and let's hear from the founder about Lodi House and talk about what inspired you to help to create Lodi House and talk about the need in your community.
So my name is Annette Murdaca, and Lodi House started we started it, my husband and I actually worked with a task force of people back in 1997. It's kind of an interesting story. I was a single mom for 6 years, and I knew how hard it was for myself personally to try to juggle a job and having a little girl and getting her to where she needed to be and worrying about childcare. And so when I had the opportunity, I got married and had the opportunity to help others. I had taken my daughter, who was going to St. Anne's. They do this thing on Wednesdays where they go to the Salvation Army and they cook dinner for the homeless people that come in every day at 5 o'clock. So the Salvation Army at that point was on Sacramento Street, and she had to go to the bathroom. So I said, okay, well, where's the bathroom? So they actually had a living facility there in addition to their kitchen. So we went upstairs, and they said, well, it's on the 3rd floor. I said, well, where's the ladies part? Where do they go to the bathroom, and where do they sleep? And they said, well, there is no ladies. I said, well, what do you mean there's no ladies shelter? And so then it just kind of started from there. I started asking a lot of questions, which I have a tendency to do. And I realized that they were shipping women. The Salvation Army was the only facility available in Lodi at that time. And they were shipping the women off to Manteca, or they were sending them to Sacramento, or they were putting them up a couple of nights in a hotel. And I thought, well, why are they doing that? I mean, Lodi's a really giving community. Why don't we have our own shelter for them? So I knew a lot of people through the business that I was in at the time. My brother and I owned the garbage business in Lodi, and so we dealt a lot with city people. So I started asking the city of Lodi. I started talking to the council people, and one thing led to another, so we put a task force together to research, really, was there a need? And it turned out there was a need. And Lodi is a very interesting community in that if you have a need and it's a valid need and you're credible, they open up their hearts and their pocketbooks. So we started talking about it. I started going with another friend from my Bible study, and we went to all the different service organizations and told them what was going on and what we needed. And one thing led to another. We started to raise money. My husband and I gave them a significant amount of money to start, and farmers and merchants jumped on board, and the city of Lodi, through community black grant funds, got enough together to buy the house that Shelby is talking about at 801 South Washington Street. And I call it Grandma's house because it's an old Victorian home. It's got 5 bedrooms, and each bedroom has been decorated. What we did, and interesting, Shelby, 20 years ago, we needed an executive director because the board didn't want to run the house. We didn't know anything about it. The Salvation Army couldn't take care of it, so we became an independent organization, and we said, okay, we need to find somebody. So we put out feelers and interviewed, and we hired Shelby. And Shelby was with us for about a year, right? And it was Shelby's idea, okay, well, why don't we, get the people in the community to adopt a room, and each room will have a different theme. And so we did that. We had different churches, we had different organizations, we had private individuals. They took each room and they painted the room, they had their own theme, they got all the bedding. So it was a happy house. It still is a happy house. Yeah. And then in each room it says prepared by and dedicated to, and then the organization's name is there. And so Shelby's done a really good job to have the people come back, and we have to have the rooms freshened up every couple of years. Shelby stayed for a year because she decided she wanted to have a family, and you can't have a family and juggle all those women and children. So she left us, and we hired another woman, Suzanne Mangum, who was with us for 18 years. And she did a fabulous job. She took on the heart of Lodi House, which was my heart, and she understood what I wanted because I knew what it was. I knew what it was. I had a family to help me, and I knew there were women out there that didn't. So we created this home called Lodi House, and the reason we called it Lodi House was because Lodi, like I said, is a very giving community, and so everybody in Lodi has contributed to the success of that place. Awesome. All the churches, all the individuals, all the service organizations, all the kids groups, all the high schools, all the elementary schools. everybody's put something at some time in 20 years into that house, and so it's appropriately named Lodi House. And Suzanne set up a very good system. She helped us with putting the groundwork, the foundation of, you know, what the criteria is, which these two ladies will explain to you. It's not a flop house. It's not a place where anybody and everybody can just knock on the door at, 1 o'clock in the morning and walk in, which I'll give you part 2 of that story later. But it's Grandma's house, and I love it.
That's awesome. I love the passion as you're talking about it and how it was created, and the fact that each of the rooms has its own theme and that you're calling it Grandma's house. That sounds amazing. And you said earlier that not everyone can just show up. Do you provide meals to the general community as well, or it's just strictly the people that are there?
Yeah, our program is very individual to the clients that are there at that time. So we spend a lot of time and energy because we are looking at long-term goals with these women. We want them, and we have testimonies that Shereen has walked with people that 18 years ago that call us today and will tell us where they are, and they're still doing well. So it's a unique opportunity we have with only having 5 women and their children at a time to really invest. So we're going to step into their story with them. We're going to create a program that is individual to their needs. People don't end up homeless because without brokenness, and so but all that brokenness looks different, and all of the kids' stories are different, and so we really get to know each client. We offer free therapy for even our graduates, but yeah, we're entering into that story with them and creating a program that is for them, and looking long term. We're trying to fortify that family unit so that we know that there's going to be more issues that come up. Life is hard, and but we create really that family atmosphere because a lot of them have, for whatever reason, they don't have that network, and so our goal is to just create this amazing network with an amazing community that will step in if you just show them if there's a true need, they'll step up. So our job really is identifying those needs, whether it's helping someone pass the GED or medical assistance, finding, or they need a used car, finding the person, oh, I can do that, I know that, and they step in and they assist in that way. And when we do that, it can change, it completely changes the direction that person is going.
Yeah, you're permanently changing their lives, and you're providing opportunities and helping them be successful, and that's phenomenal. I was going to ask you, do you track the success rate? I know you said that some of your clients come back and touch base with you, but do you track what they're doing like 5 years out, 10 years out?
Sure, we are definitely in contact with a lot of the women still today, and they love to share their success stories with us, which is wonderful.
Donors like to hear those stories too.
Of course.
Donors are all about outcomes.
Yes.
I always try and tell people it's not just a one-time donation, it's an investment. You're making an investment in people's lives. So they want to know, okay, I've given you this money, so what am I getting in return? And so they do keep track because people want to know. And Shelby and Shereen do a great job in reaching out to the community to tell them about Lodi House on a regular basis. And Shelby does a beautiful annual report that gives you a lot of stories and what's happening and who's doing what.
Great. I'd love to be on the mailing list for the annual report. So that's kind of like a newsletter of what's happened during the year. I know you mentioned how many women and children can be there at once. In a year's time, on average, how many people will you serve?
Roughly around 80 people, yeah.
And what happens if they have several children? What happens if you have a single mother with 5 children? Can she
we have rooms that will accommodate. We have 2 large rooms. They have like the full bunk bed on the bottom, and then single on the top, and we have trundles, and they're just all set up to maximize. And there have been times where, I look at Shereen because she's been there the longest. She's seen all of the different types of family units. But
we definitely maximize as much as possible. We can get at least 4 people in each room.
And what kind of services and activities do you provide for the children? You know, we talked a little bit about the moms.
Well, we are right now in the process of implementing a reading program, which, as we all know, is very important for moms to read with their kids. And we try to do whatever we can for the kids because they're the ones that are really suffering in the sense that they don't even realize why they're in the position they're in. We try to do any sports scholarships that we can, tutoring.
Yeah, we, I mean, again, every child is different, and so it's also just connecting them to resources, which if it's mountain valley
counseling.
You know, we've seen kids that come through and they've got some special needs, and we're like, okay, we need to connect you with someone that can help you with those things. But I'm excited about the reading program. It's one of our newest programs. It's just in the developmental stage. We're working with some teachers and talking through that, because what we do know is if kids do nightly reading, it increases their reading skills immensely.
Usually.
Yeah, and then also just the interaction. What happens when your woman is in crisis, the last thing she's thinking about is sitting down and reading a book. But what that gives the child is that closeness. You know, you see a lot of moms just being busy and handing their kids their phone, right? And so we're always on trying to create healthy interactions with moms and their kids. And we're also looking at helping moms celebrate if they get a job, trying to, you know, have a gift card so that they can do something with their child. You know, a lot of people think about just handing stuff to people that are homeless, but stuff can actually be a burden in that situation because you have to have a place for all this stuff. So toys are good, but too many toys is actually detrimental in my mind. And so trying to kind of change that framework of how moms see helping their kids. And, you know, again, when you're in poverty, sometimes you think, I just want to buy them stuff. But what those kids long for more than anything is that interaction. So we're working on creating activity nights too, having people in the community come in and doing card making. We've done game nights. Again, if you haven't experienced that in a healthy family, you don't even know what that's like to sit with your kid and play a game.
Yeah, that was the one thing is, I guess we should say, it is for homeless women and children. A lot of people say, oh, well, you're abused, for abused women. Well, there's another organization that takes care of that, and they do a great job at the Women's Center. But we basically are for homeless women and children, because I found out in the beginning, you know, we had a mom and a dad, and we got up in the morning, you brushed your teeth, you combed your hair, you had breakfast, you went to school, you had routine. A lot of times these women, I found out, they don't have a routine. They don't understand they're supposed to get up. They're responsible for their kids getting their hair combed, their teeth brushed, making sure they eat breakfast, have lunch to go out. Because that's the other thing about Lodi House. They don't hang around the house all day. They're in the house in the morning, and they have to be out. They can't come back, and they have to figure out where they're going to send their kids during the day while they're gone. Just like regular people do, you know, when you go to work, you got to find a babysitter or daycare or something. They train them, okay, you're out of here, and you can't come back in the house till
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
From 12 to 2 we close.
Right. So
It's not a huge amount of time.
no, but it's not, they can just let
But
the
it's
kids
good.
run around the house, and we provide daycare. We don't provide daycare for them. That's their responsibility. That's
good.
what they try and teach them.
You're training them to be just like it would be in society, which is awesome.
Yeah,
Giving them life skills.
Yeah, in our program, exactly. They can stay there for 3 to 4 months, and during that time, we want them to get everything in order so that when they leave, they don't, you know, skip a beat. They have their child care, they have their jobs, all the things that they need to just continue to exist without hitting another roadblock.
Wonderful. And it's hard. Earlier you mentioned that there's many reasons that people are homeless, and as a member of the Homeless Task Force, we've now adopted Housing First, but you still have to have the wraparound services. And whether someone is homeless because they lost their job, or they have physical issues or mental issues, other things can play into that if they didn't start out with drug abuse. Every situation is individual, and that's what makes it so difficult to fix this problem is that there's no one solution that's going to work for everyone. And it's wonderful to hear how the variety of services that you're offering. I think it's magnificent. And you talked earlier, we were joking about amazing activities, and you said you have a fundraiser that's coming up, and we'll talk about it. Be amazing. But I love hearing how so many members of the community have come together to make this a reality and are supporting it, and that you're having wonderful outcomes, changing people's lives. Are there specific success stories that people have said, you can share my story? Can we hear some of the success stories, or can you tell us where, maybe like a general idea of maybe where some of the women that have come through that are now achieving X, Y, and Z? That would be wonderful to hear.
Well, we've actually had a couple of our women that have come through end up buying their own homes. Wonderful. So that is huge. You know, they started with nothing for whatever reason. They ended up in a situation. And through using our transitional housing, one of them was able to save money during that 1 year period, enough for a down payment with other programs, and she purchased her own home.
Wow.
And then we had another one that was using Central Valley low-income housing for that year and was able to save and purchase her own home in the long run too. So we've had several that have done things like that, bought their own homes, started their own businesses, and
Wonderful.
just a lot of fun,
The
exciting things.
The thing about Lodi House is it started out as a single house. And then it grew because, okay, well, you know, maybe we need to get bigger, maybe we need to buy another house. So there was this constant looking at, okay, bigger is not always better, so what do we really want to do, and what's the need after they leave? And in Lodi's kind of expensive rent-wise, and so the challenge that they were facing with the Suzanne Mangum was the other executive director who retired, was trying to help them find places to go. So we ended up purchasing another house for the transition. After they got out, then they have this house that they can go to for how long?
They can stay there for up to a year, and the rent is either $300 or $400.
Yeah, so they pay rent there. They don't pay anything at Lodi House, but they transition out to this other home on the east side, and they stay there for up to a year. And then the third piece that grew was, you know, it's hard as a nonprofit. You're always looking for money, and I figured out I founded it, but then I ended up being the person to help them, you know, keep raising the money, because the easy part was getting it started. The hard part is making it go, right?
And you're passionate about it.
Yeah, I am.
It's so obvious.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Well, I don't want it to stop. So, and you got to have the system set up so that when I'm gone, you know, and they're gone, it's there and it'll keep going.
Definitely.
So, Suzanne Mangum came up with the idea that we needed to have some kind of a revenue stream, because we had grant writing, we had personal donations, we had fundraisers, but you know, you can't rely on all that stuff. And so she came up with the idea of starting a thrift store, and the board was a little resistant at the beginning, but you know, they got it after she laid it out what we needed for cash flow. So the thrift store's been around for how long?
8 years.
Yeah.
8 years.
Yeah.
And it's thriving now. I mean, there were some problems in the beginning because it's a business. So Lodi House has gone from a single house to a transitional house to a thrift store. So there's 3 pieces now. So it's a big job. It's not just one piece, it's 3 pieces, and trying to balance all the balls is a challenge for Shelby. So she needs a lot of help with personnel. She's now got, Shereen has moved up from her position as the chef and assistant. No, in the beginning you
That's
were
what I was.
right?
I came
Yeah.
and I cooked.
You and Suzanne,
Yep, yeah.
right? You had to paint the picture.
Yeah, then I went to house manager, then assistant.
Right, exactly. And they were working out of a garage because
Wow.
they had 5 rooms in the house. How many rooms?
There's 6,
There's
but
6.
one's for the night supervisor.
And
so.
one of the rooms was an office
Yeah.
that Suzanne
Yeah.
used, and we figured out right away we got to get her out of there because we need that room for our mother. So Kiwanis or one of the service groups, I can't remember, Lions, they came in and they transferred the garage, right?
Lions
All right,
Club,
go
The
Lions.
Lions. They came in and redid the whole garage, and they turned the garage into an office, which is great.
Wonderful.
So they're out in the garage, in the office out there, and then they have a learning center in the other
enrichment
half of
center,
the
yeah,
garage,
the
right?
transit.
The enrichment center.
Well, that's over at the transitional.
Why don't you talk about that, the enrichment center?
Yeah, we have an enrichment center at our transitional house, and that's where our women can go to do job search or workshops, things like that, whatever's needed to better their situation.
Do you teach them computer skills or how to write a resume?
We have different people in the community that do come in and do workshops. We also provide them with a resume, and we also have somebody that does mock interviews just to
Beautiful.
prep them for the workforce. So, because that's definitely what they have to do while they're in our program, is get a job and get on their feet.
And do you need volunteers for the thrift store you mentioned? And we'll talk about how the community can help you. Where is the thrift store and what is it called?
It's called Lodi House Thrift Store, super original. And it's located at 221 West Lodi Avenue.
Okay. And hours of operation, days of operation?
The days that it's open for shopping is Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5.
Perfect. All right. And if someone's interested in volunteering for that, how do they reach you?
I have a phone number here. I've got to find it.
All right. And while we're looking
Yeah.
for that, talk about if you have a website and a Facebook page,
Yes.
and how people can reach you in general if they want to make a donation. And we'll talk about some of your other needs and how the community can help.
Okay. So the thrift store for the we have actually a designated volunteer line, and
Awesome.
it's 209-294-9533. And Odessa is the name of our volunteer director. So
I know Odessa.
Lodi House Thrift Store has a great reputation. There are a number of thrift stores in Lodi, and they're all really great. But ours has the Rodeo Drive reputation.
Wonderful.
It has very-
You have the high-end
you're looking
items.
for
Scale
Coach and
things.
Wonderful.
shoes that were sold in pairs and can't be found anywhere.
Great.
Well,
We have
purses.
wonderful donors.
I mean, purses.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they got Gucci purses. They got all kinds of purses. And there are a number of ladies that are on a phone call. Call me when you get it in.
Cool.
So.
And your website for Lodi House?
It's www.lodihouse.org.
Wonderful. And you have a Facebook page?
We do, and there's a Facebook page for Lodi House, and then there's one for the Lodi House Thrift Store as well.
Awesome. Excellent.
That keeps you updated on all the deals and
Yeah,
sales, whatever's
we post
going on.
all our
Great.
sales each
And
week.
do we want to highlight the fundraiser that's coming up that's sold out?
Sure, we can talk a little bit
Let's talk
about it
about
so
it.
that next year. So
Yes.
last year was our first year, so this is our second year. So
For
it's
Be Amazing.
It's called Be Amazing, and we're really using it as an opportunity to share the stories of the women that have gone through Lodi House. It's a new tradition this year. We're going to present graduation certificates to those that have graduated, that are able to come. They're not all able to be there. Some of them have to work, which we're happy for.
That's a good promise. That's a great
We're okay
promise.
with that. And so, we'll have one client or graduate is giving her testimony. We actually have a client's daughter who's going to sing. Mm-hmm. And we're actually going to interview some of the kids, too, to just let people hear the perspective from a child. The kids that come through our program, it's probably part of our favorite job, is just building that relationship with them. But often they cry when they leave. As much as they want their own place, that's how we know that has become a place of safety for them. Some of the kids come in and they are really kind of out of control. Mm-hmm. And you create that structure that Annette was talking about, and we have, we're very high accountability, high responsibility at Lodi House, but all of that feeds into just how their disposition. And so you'll watch kids within a week or so when they know that dinner is at 5:30 and they know that breakfast, and they know where they're going to sleep every night, that all of a sudden what was once kind of chaotic, their behavior changes. And so that that means a tremendous amount to us, because even if they go back to crazy in their life, they have tasted something that maybe had been completely unfamiliar, and they'll pursue that they know that it's possible. So
we've actually had kids come back after they've grown up to Lodi House to go through our program, knowing that that was a shot for them, you know, because they were there as kids. They saw what could have happened or may have happened for their mother, and they held on to it, and they've come through there.
So we also have an event in October.
Yes,
that
we do.
is very coming up. That's not sold out yet.
It's not yet.
Talk
about that.
Maybe we can make that happen
we
today.
can do some donations for that, right?
Yes.
Like purses.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Okay, that's a great idea. So last year it's called Pouring for a Purpose. It's going to be at Oak Farm Vineyard, and it's going to be Thursday, October 27th. What?
What is the date again?
Yes, it is September 27th. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, partner.
It's all good.
She takes care of me.
We have time.
We take care of each other.
But it's an interesting. It's an interesting story in that we had a fundraiser for 10 years called Festa della Donna, which a lot of women from Stockton came, so they know about Lodi House. But after 10 years, I got tired, and we needed to stop when we were ahead, and so these ladies came up with trying to fill the hole there with the another fundraiser, which is this one that's coming up, and they auction off really great purses, right?
Wonderful.
Right. So yeah, we have a purse silent auction, but different organizations or businesses will sponsor a purse. So yeah, it's fun to see, you know, F&M Bank sponsored a purse, and different individuals, different realtors sponsored purses. And so you have this collection of high-end purses. And so, yeah, that was
So for her first fundraiser in October last year, it was October 1st or 5th or something.
That's what I was thinking, it was October.
She raised $27,000 for a 2-hour event.
That's
that
amazing.
was cocktails and a little finger food, and
Excellent.
that's, you know. So
That's phenomenal.
the question is here, I know there are a lot of women out there with these fabulous purses that they probably still have the price tag on. So if you need a place to send them to Lodi House, and we can use them to auction off and make money.
Awesome. And what about for our listeners out there who maybe can't donate money, but can donate like cleaning items or used clothing or books or toys? Is there a list of things and that you can say maybe the top 10? And do you have a list on your website of items that you need?
We do. So yeah, we'll often have like Girl Scout troops and things want to do a collection for us. And because we have a house, I mean, we need paper towels, we need toilet paper, we need tampons, we need shampoo, we need, what did you say?
Large size diapers.
Large size diapers. So, but on the website, we do have a list of those items. So if you just wanted, we have people sometimes they'll go to Costco and they'll just grab a bunch of things for our house, and it obviously makes a big difference on our budget. So
we send them with the sack lunch every day, so we need all the things to fill the lunches and things like that too.
Okay. How about books for your literacy program? What do you need for your literacy program?
We just had a group come in and kind of work on our library, and so we have some specific books we're looking for that are called growth mindset books that really help kids just think. I don't know if you know growth mindset, but it's about in order to learn, you actually need to fail, which is this beautiful picture. And so, especially for the kids in our program. And so, I'm looking for those those books.
I have a connection.
Okay.
I'll see if we can get some of those for you.
So, all of our donation, not the household products, but other toys, clothes, everything goes through the thrift store, which, so they organize it and package it and do all that. And then any of our clients that need anything, we write a voucher, and all of that is free for them. So some people say, well, I want to donate my clothes, right to the women. If we did that, we wouldn't have storage for it. And so that's why everything goes through the thrift store. It's all organized. And
that's awesome.
So I always tell people, you are donating directly to those women and children, because even if that product is sold, that money goes to pay for electricity, pays for therapy, pays for food, pays for all those things. So,
So why don't you talk about your big ticket items? The
Okay.
little ticket items are important, but we have some visionary goals.
Yes, we do.
Right?
Yes. So our enrichment center that we talked about, where we do our workshops, we've been in process of renovating or just updating. It's a very dark. We have computers that are probably 10 years old.
Yeah.
So my vision for Lodi House overall is always reminding women of who they were created to be. And so part of that happens when you're in an environment. That's why when we did the rooms back then, it doesn't feel like this gray room that you're just in a shelter. No, we want to bring life to these women that probably have been knocked down a lot. And so we have a vision for updating that space. There's actually a separate room at the Enrichment Center that we're almost completely renovated for a therapy office, because in the past when we do our therapy, it had to be in our office in the garage, or it's in a bedroom, or it's just wherever we can make it. So we've done some soundproofing things so that we have a designated therapy office. But to finish the Enrichment Center, we're looking at probably $25,000 would just get it up and running exactly. We need some additional lighting that's in there, some things like that. We also, if there's someone out there that has a heart for just helping us create sustainability, our thrift store loan, we have about $156,000 that if that could be paid off, then we could just increase the revenue.
So what you need to know is they bought the thrift store for $450,000, and they paid off the transitional house last year. And because I'm a nag about all that.
That's
They
great.
should
Someone
not
needs
have
to make
any
sure
kind
that
of a mortgage. They are a nonprofit. They don't need to have a mortgage. They don't need to have a payment. So they've both done a really great job of listening to what I'm not on the board, but I'm kind of the conscience. I'm kind of everybody's conscience. So my mantra has been get rid of that mortgage, get rid of the mortgage. So they've done a really great job of bringing that $450 down to $156. So that's the goal, is that $25,000 for the transitional learning, and get that $156 to go away.
Definitely.
We don't need it.
In any of those locations, is there somewhere where you can have bricks or names, where you can have people buy a brick?
No, we don't have anything like that currently.
Okay. But I mean, is there like a spot anywhere at the transitional housing or at Lodi House where you could do that? Where you could put in bricks?
Possibly, yeah.
Possibly.
Because I know that's a way to fundraise that a lot of places have used it. We have it at Hutchins Street Square. In Stockton, we have it at our World War II Memorial. Delta Humane Society has done it. There's lots of organizations. So that would be a way maybe to as a group with people contributing, you could get some of your big ticket items covered, or maybe your mortgage paid off.
People are recognized every year in the annual report, too.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Specifically, yeah. So if there's name recognition that needs to be done. The other thing that we do that I find is very beneficial, we give tours. So if anybody's interested in a tour, once you go through Lodi House and see what we do, you usually want to write a check at the end.
Awesome.
So,
I definitely want to go on a tour.
or if you don't write a check, then you want to volunteer, or you know somebody that knows somebody that can help. I mean, it's all about networking.
Sounds like you're doing magnificent things, which is wonderful. Any final comments as we're wrapping up our show? I told you the hour would go by really
Is it
fast.
The reason the house is doing so well is because it has the hand of God over it. I've always said that. The only reason I do the things that I do is for the glory of God, because He planted the seed. I had to go through the desert in order to get to the promised land. And so the promised land is the next life for me now, because I've aged over the 20 years. But we can't forget that the reason it does so well is because God is in the center of that house. And He's making it go. And as long as we keep focused on Him and why we're there to help other people and bring light to the dark, you'll be okay.
That's beautiful. All right. Well, I really want to thank all of you for being here today and just sharing not only how this house came about, but all of the wonderful things that you're doing for the women and the children that come through there. And that's great to hear that you're changing lives for 60 people every single year for 20 years. That's magnificent. So I really appreciate all of you coming out. Can you just give us contact information again if you want to give us your website, your Facebook, phone number?
Okay. So, yeah, the website's www.lodihouse.org. We're located at 801 South Washington Street. It's 95240. Our phone number is 209-334-6346. And and the thrift store's at 221 West Lodi Avenue. And so, I encourage anyone that is just looking, if women and children are on your heart and you have a gift, Shereen and I love to give tours and just process, like, how can we utilize the giftings that you've been given. And we have an amazing group of people that we all build each other up. Absolutely. Because that's what we want for our clients, but also for all of our volunteers. It's we all need to feel like we have purpose, and so we're doing that for the women and for children.
Yeah, everybody gets healing at Lodi House, volunteers alike.
And if there's a woman in need, how do they enter your program? Do they call you? Do they?
Yeah, so that you have to do a face-to-face interview. So if you want to call, and Shereen usually does those, but we usually do them from 9 to 11 and then 2 to 4 daily. But if you call, we can set up an appointment. But we have to do an face-to-face interview and fill out an application. Then you get put on a waiting list, and then when a spot opens up, we kind of just go through and find.
Yeah, it's not, like I said, it's not a flop house. Some women don't want to go there because once they find out there are things that they have to do, there are rules and there's disciplines, they don't want to do it.
Yep.
So true. Yeah,
which is unfortunate. And the same thing at other facilities. If there's boundaries, sometimes they're not at a place where they're ready for that or they want that, which is hard, because I do think that there are places that are willing to give lots of help to lots of people, and unfortunately sometimes they're just not ready for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think the thing I tell everybody is we're only a paycheck away from being homeless, all of us.
It could happen to any one of us.
Because Lodi House has not only helped women and children, it's helped some women later in life who've gotten a divorce and their husband said, you're out, and they don't know where to go. And you know what? They ended up at Lodi House trying to figure out, what am I going to do? I'm 50 years old. I don't have a place to be. I know that's happened.
Thank God that you guys were there. Right. Look at all the lives that you've changed in 20 years at 60 people a year. That's amazing. Yeah. Plus the transitional housing and the other things that you offer, the job skills. So that's magnificent. I really appreciate you guys being here today. And thank you to our listeners who are hopefully going to reach out and see how they can assist Lodi House. And I'm going to sign off. I am the voice of Stockton. You are the voice of Stockton. We are the voice of Stockton. Let's make it a great day.